Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Chicago Blackhawks franchise mode here in NHL 23. So I am recording this the day you guys saw the last episode, and it's just mainly because I really just want to rip the band-aid off and get rid of a couple players probably and change the look of this team, because I honestly don't really know what our problem is. We lost in the first round to Minnesota, and we have only won one Stanley Cup with a very good roster over the last few years. So there is definitely, I think, some time for some overturn this offseason. You can also see, though, that we do have a lot of players that are pending free agents, especially on the forward core. Also, the defensive core has quite a bit of players. So we are going to be going through some good changes, I think, that hopefully will help this team turn the page. If not, maybe we'll only have one Stanley Cup by the end of the series, but I really hope that we can find a way to turn this team into a team that can actually win in the playoffs and not just the regular season. So hopefully we have a good offseason ahead, and hopefully we can make some trades and signings that help us in the long run. But anyways, before we get into the draft and re-sign stage and probably making an abundance of trades and all that type of thing, I do have a couple of comments to go over. So the first two are from Michael Dose. The first one says, "Still think of the Minnesota North Stars and not the Wild. What a great rivalry they were with my Blackhawks in the old Norris division." And yeah, that's true, because I forgot about the North Stars being in the same division as the Blackhawks were back in those days. And then he also says, "Ridiculous. Chicago was the better team, was better than them. No clue how you go improving this team now." And I honestly have no idea on this either. I do have a little bit of an idea of what I want to do and whom I want to get rid of on this team, but I don't really know if it's going to work out or whatnot, because I want to get a lot of the young guys into the lineup as soon as possible, which means some of the veterans are going to probably be winged out and that type of thing. So there's that. And the final comment is from Saturn Otaku, who says EHE's at its finest, and yep, that is true. I mean, Minnesota was a good matchup team, I guess, in a sense, because technically they had as much wins as we did in the regular season, but I just don't know how our team wasn't able to get it done. Like, we rely on Asher Vance heavily most of the time. It seems like a lot of the other guys just didn't step up in that playoffs. Like Jokela, for example, who we just gave a big contract extension to in a couple episodes ago. He didn't really show up at all in the playoffs, which is a kind of a big concern, considering he picks up a good amount of points from the back end. Well, he didn't do anything in the playoffs, so I'm hoping that he has a bounce back year in terms of the playoffs, because we should be a playoff team again next year. That is permitted, that this team kind of stays as much together as possible in a sense. So it will be interesting to see what this team is looking like when we start the season, because I think it's going to look a lot different than it has in the past. But there was the comments I got in the last episode. So let's get into this draft and see what we could snag up and see what we could do in terms of trades. I will probably try and make a trade right out of the gate, at least, to get rid of some of these players on this team. So I don't know exactly who we're going to get rid of yet still. I did write down a little bit of a list. Like, let me open my WordPad document. I was thinking, basically, I think what I might do, since we have a lot of young centers coming up, I might honestly be looking at trading Kabanov. He has dropped off a lot. His money is a little bit too high, so we'll save up some cap space that way. And we might honestly run Adamski as our second line center next year behind Reefers, then have Ziska as like a third line center. Martins will probably be playing on the wing or something like that. And then either Gustavo Brown or Parker Burrish, I think his name is, could get into the lineup as the fourth line center / third line center, depends on where they fit. They might also play on the wing. We'll have to try and find a way to get them into the lineup. I also think we are going to be having to let go of a right winger this offseason, because you see Brossoit, Recchi, Sanders, Corrado all up for renewal. I do want to bring back Recchi, because Recchi, we have been using him as a left winger. But Sanders and Brossoit, I think it comes down to the two of those guys, and then Corrado will likely be on our top 6 next season. So I think I might be leaning towards keeping Brossoit. He might be a little bit more expensive than Sanders, but also I feel like Brossoit might be a better option, just because he's actually like a better fit for the top line, I think, than Sanders is. Actually, they're the same fit. But the difference is I don't want to be playing Sanders on the second line, because you could see with Sanders, he isn't an astronomically great fit for the second line, but you go down to somebody like Corrado. Corrado's a better fit for that second line than Sanders is. So I think I honestly might let go of Sanders, even though he's a great player. We only had him for 2 seasons, but I think I'm going to let him walk, and I'm going to try and bring back Braswell, Recchi, and Corrado. And yeah, I'd let go of Sanders. If for some reason we can't come to terms with multiple of these guys, we could always bring them back in the free agency period, but I think this team needs to go through a little bit of an overhaul. Also, on the defensive front, I think I am going to be trying to trade away Spiller's rights and bringing back Len Morris as another defenseman again, just because we do also have Emiliano Hutton, who should be jumping to the NHL next year. I also might trade Glebov, because Glebov, he doesn't really like his ice time with us. Even though he was a great depth defenseman, he doesn't like his ice time, so I might try and trade him away as well. So that way we could maybe even get Kamachi in as a depth defenseman next season. So a decent amount of change to our lineup, I think, but it has to happen. Also, goaltending-wise will change because likely Howden leaves to free agency, and we rely on Hugh and Blackburn, and then also maybe Tyupkin gets a chance next year too. So this team, I think, is going to go through some massive overhaul, but hopefully it helps out our team, and hopefully Vance can still do good, even with a lot of these guys potentially leaving the team. So there is my long spiel. Let's get into this draft and see what we can snag up and see if we can make a trade for maybe a higher up pick. I don't really know what I want to trade for because we don't have a first round pick this year, right? Yeah, we don't. We have 2/3, we have a 5th, 6th, and a 7th. So maybe I'll try and trade for a first round pick because I believe there was a franchise player in this draft. I don't think I could trade for first overall, but it would be really nice to have this guy next to Asher Vance, because this guy's a franchise playmaker. Because imagine him on the left side and we move Vance back to center where his natural position is, and Reefers could play like right side. I don't really know, but that guy would be amazing, but I don't think I'm going to be able to trade up for the number 1 pick. I just don't think it makes really sense, but we'll see what we could trade up for. I think I do want to try and trade for a first round pick, so we'll try and offload as much of these players that I want to offload as possible. So obviously, Sanders is a pending free agent, so he would probably be gone. Braswell is a pending free agent, so those guys don't have really much value. However, Kabanov is the one guy that has multiple years. Spiller also has RFA rights. And then Glebov is another guy I want to get rid of. So, out of curiosity, anybody interested in a used Gustavs Kabanov? Couple teams interested. Okay. That's good to see. We could get a 31st overall pick in this year's draft to get rid of Kabanov. I feel like this year's draft isn't really that great of one, but that's enticing. There's also a low franchise goaltender that's making $12 million for the next 3 years. What the heck? Let me take a look at this. This guy must have been a high elite that jumped up to a low franchise. Of course, his last name's Clapperton, though. How good is this goaltender? He's not really that great. Great playoff numbers, but still, that's a kind of a weird trade. 25 years old, so he's not going to really reach that. Let me see, who has got the high up picks? There was one that was on the block, right? Yeah, Tampa wants to get rid of that 2nd overall pick. I don't think we're going to be able to trade for number 2. But they do want Kabanov, which has a good chunk of value. We would also be throwing in Spiller's rights, which doesn't have a lot of value. They'd be over the salary cap. Yeah, there's not really much we could do with that. I think we're going to have to do multiple separate trades with these guys. Let me see if there's anybody that would throw me a good offer for Spiller. Let's see. Who wants Spiller? 3rd and co. Wow, 44 offers. Not a lot of good ones. 2nd round pick, that's 57th. I could definitely use that 2nd. And try and use it to move more into the 1st round here. Or higher in the 1st round if we are able to get a 1st round pick. Because a lot of these other prospects are like low top 6s, low top 4s. And that's not really what I'm looking to get. Because I know most of those times those guys don't pan out. This guy's probably not that great, my guess. He's probably like a 25-year-old. Yeah, I think I'm going to take that 2nd round pick from the Calgary Flames. So, Reginald Spiller, you're gone. It's kind of a weird to get rid of him, but we need to get rid of players. And we need to hopefully turn this team around. So we got rid of him. I'm going to clean house a little bit here. We're also going to try and get rid of Glebov. What's the best we could get for Glebov here? 6th round pick. Oh man, of course we get interrupted by the franchise player going to Colorado. Of course, let's try and get rid of Cabanov first, actually, because Cabanov, we know we could get a first rounder for him. Can we still get a first rounder for him? Yes, we can. Okay, let's do this one with Vegas, because I think I could use that first, that second, and the second we just got, and use that to maybe move up in this year's draft. So, Cabanov has gone to Vegas. We get in some guy named Bryce Freegun. I didn't even really look at him, but I don't really care. I'm trying to just change this team's complexion a lot. There might go through a little bit of a morale crisis, who knows, but this team needs change. And we will trade you for... Let's just do a 6th round pick. Why not? Okay, so we have a lot of picks that we just acquired. Let's go back to Tampa Bay, for example. Actually, they wouldn't have the cap, probably. Actually, we could try and move our picks that we just got from them. I don't think we can move up that far, though. Yeah, we'd have to probably take a late first rounder, because now we have multiple 3rd round picks. We have a 2nd and a 1st that we could all trade away to move up into the 1st round a little bit higher. So, is there a kind of like a mid 1st round pick we can maybe trade for, like this Calgary Flames pick at 15th? Let's see if we could somehow move up to 15th. So we get rid of 31st, we get rid of our 2nd rounder, and we'll get rid of even our highest up 3rd round pick. Let me just try the 1st and a 2nd. I don't think that's going to work, though, because it just doesn't look right. Let's see. Doesn't work, of course. Let's try giving them a 3rd. I could give them 2/3. I don't care. We're just trying to get into the 1st round here, higher up. Wow, okay. That gets accepted. So a 1st, 2nd, and a 3rd, and we have moved up to 15th overall all of a sudden. Now the question is, can we use 15th overall and something on our roster to get us even higher up? I don't think we're going to be able to make a trade with Tampa fast enough, unfortunately, to get an elite player in this draft. What even is supposed to go around 15th? Is there anybody on our list or anybody interesting around that point? Or should I try and move up even further? Edmonds, who we know nothing about. No weakness. Yeah, I maybe should have looked at the draft class ahead. I'm 2 years out for this Chubarov guy's not bad. We don't really need a lot more defensemen, though. This guy's fantastic looking 2 years out. Those guys are probably both top 4s with like 78 overall, my guess. 1 year out for this Canzanello guy. Let's see if we could try and move up into the number 10th pick. So we could grab Canzanello, because Canzanello, 1 year out, he might only be a top 6 with a high overall, though, too. He likely is. I'm going to try and still trade up into the top 10. I just don't know if St. Louis is going to want to trade that top 10 pick and move back, because I know they're not doing so well. But we got to obviously try if we want to turn this team around here. I'm going to completely forget where I sent all those guys that we just traded, but don't really care. We're trying to make as much noise as possible here at this draft. So 15th overall, and we will throw in our 3rd rounder for this year. So we're basically giving them an extra pick to move up 5 spots. And that's rejected. Okay, and what if I throw you a prospect that we don't think is going to develop? They do want our 2nd rounders for next year as well, or in our 3rd for next year. Let's give them our 3rd for next year as well. So 2/3 in this 1st round pick. We move up 5 spots. That's rejected. Okay, so what if I did... Do you guys have any interest in any prospects? Not somebody necessarily on my roster. They do like Laurikainen, and I don't know if Laurikainen has a home here. I don't know if he does. Because he's more of a depth option. He's 25 already. He's a great player, I think. In terms of shooting, his X factors give him more value. This might be a bad trade to do, but we're going to get rid of Laurikainen here. Let's see if I could get something back in terms of this, in terms of draft picks. Like, will you guys give me a 3rd rounder for next year? Because Laurikainen has a good chunk of value, and I don't think I'm going to be able to get him into the lineup with Huxley and whatnot coming in. Rejected. So I guess I have to take in a 4th rounder if I want to actually get anything else. Too far off. Let's just do the 1st and Laurikainen. Wow, okay, I'm surprised that they do not want that. Let me just throw in a 3rd rounder. I honestly don't care. Let's throw in actually the 4th because I want to just move up 5 spots to get that guy. They have a lot of interest, I guess, in that Canzanello dude, because I thought they would have accepted by now. We do have Vegas' second for next year. I think our second might be later than that, so let's try this. That's accepted. So there is a pretty decent trade. We move up to the 10th overall pick when we didn't even have a first rounder originally. So we're trying to do what best we can, and hopefully we could get Canzanello here because I think he might be a solid player. So, but Henderson won first overall. There's the franchise player. Kind of sucks that we couldn't trade up for number 1, but oh well. And then there's Camden Warner, probably son of Rhett Warner. But yeah, there's a lot of trades. I think we're not going to make any more trades. We do have some guys pinned in this draft, so let's advance a couple picks here. So Flood goes 3rd overall. Colton Flood, two-way forward, looking pretty good. At number 4, LA is going to take Hivznikov. I think that's pronounced DFD as well. And Buffalo at 5 is going to take Nolan, who's a 74 overall medium elite. So maybe Canzanello is going to be medium elite, but lower overall. That'd be interesting, because that's a medium elite that's not even NHL ready. I don't know if I should move up anymore. I don't think I can, really. Who else is supposed to go before Canzanello? A lot of players. So maybe Canzanello, well, he could have even probably just kept with our own pick, or maybe even moved up to 12th. We didn't need to move all the way up to number 10. This guy's not looking too good right now. Ivanov looking okay. Not looking great on this guy. Eakin, top 6 probably. And Soleil's top 4 probably. So yeah, I'm definitely going with Canzanello with our pick. I feel like he should be able to fall to us. So let's send to our pick at 10. And we're getting a trade offer that just disappeared. Okay, that was weird. So Canzanello did not go. So we are going to be taking, what's his first name even? Ralph Canzanello from the Guelph Storm. He's looking like he could be a really good player. We got a guarantee that he's 1 year out. And apparently he's like Marcus Naslund. So hopefully he's like a sniper too. I'm guessing he is based on the pro release. So let's see what Ralph is looking like here. 71 overall, top 6. Not as good as I was hoping, to be honest. 71 is great, sure, for a, is he 18? Yeah, 18-year-olds, but only top 6 potential. I mean, his shooting categories look pretty good, so I think this guy will develop into something, but to move all those players just to get Canzanello might be a little bit of a risk, but it is what it is. He does have shock and awe, but that's his only ability. We'll see if that ends up helping us out. He's not AHL eligible yet, but there is our first pick of the draft. And yeah, we're not going to make any more trades. Most of the rest of the stuff is going to come into free agency and re-signing, I think. But we are definitely going through a lot of changes here with this team already. Conroy might be medium elite, but 5 years out at 17. He'd be 22. 3-bar medium elite. He's probably a low top 6, so I don't trust it. I do not trust it. Did I have anybody pinned at this stage? The one low lead that's left is Kaupinen. Do we still have a later pick than this? I think we do, right? I don't want to go to view draft class. I wanted to go draft board. How much more picks have we got? Yeah, we got quite a bit of picks still, so I'll probably take somebody else and then take Kaupinen kind of maybe with our 6th round pick. So we at least get a low elite guy in. There is also a low top 6 sniper that's listed as a gem. Doesn't look great though. Do I take a chance with Conroy? Probably not. He doesn't look that great on paper. Matsumoto, 3 years out at 20. I like that kind of, but I don't know if he's going to be a top 6. Owen Forbes. This is not the best draft class. This goaltender looks okay, actually. He's apparently 4 years out, though, maybe. We always could use more goaltenders in our system. Even though we have 2 elite ones that are in NHL bound next year, maybe another one that's elite bound or elite NHL bound. And then we also have the low starter. I could take Kennens here. I should probably go for Matsumoto though, just based on that. 3 years out. Yeah, let's go with Matsumoto here. I don't really necessarily need another goalie, I don't think, but we'll go for him. And Zach Matsumoto is solid. Top 6 forward, 20 years old. So that's probably why he's this high of an overall. But maybe he becomes something. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But Yeah, this is definitely a weak draft class. We are in the 5th round now. We do still have Kaupinen who's on board. I'm not seeing really anything else that screams elite player right now. So, yeah, it's not the best draft class, but oh well. Might have to just go for a medium top 9, because at least that's okay. Yeah, let's go with Matti Valahati, because why not? 56 overall. We'll see if he ends up painting out. Hopefully some of these guys become good players, but I mean, we still have a great prospect pool. We still have a great NHL pool. It's just more that the guys that were on our roster last season weren't cutting it. So getting rid of Kabanov might be a little bit of a weird one, but I think this team needed some sort of a shakeup, and I'm not sure exactly what it was. So I'm trying to find if I found out what our problem was or not. Rick Melnick, 4 years out, maybe at 19. Damian Brooks, Emilio Saad, Yuka Hall, Dean Stepan. I honestly don't know what to go with at this stage. This draft is not looking too great. We're in the 6th round already. Let's just go with the low late. And then I don't really know what I'm going to take with my last pick. So here's the low late Nico Kaupinen, 50 overall. Probably will end up making our NHL team, knowing our luck with low leads in the series. And our final pick of this draft, can we find a randomly good steal here? Let's just take a look at players' potential stats, see if there's anything A related, because maybe that will help us in finding somebody good. Saad actually has good shooting. Looks like he is 19 now. He is a playmaker. Is there anybody with like an A shooting category? Just maybe they'll be an underrated player. This guy might have 2 Bs, but I doubt it. Weakness and character. Not doing what 2E is doing for his franchise mode. Tuomo Unila, decent shooting for a defenseman, good character. Supposed to get drafted as well and around the spot. And let's go with this guy. He might be a low top 60, but let's just go with him. Low 7th, even worse. Oof. Not great. I mean, his shooting category is solid, but everything else is a work in progress. So there is our draft. Actually, we do have one more pick, still in the 7th round. I didn't realize we had 2 6th-round picks. Let's see if we can find one more steal here. Because might as well. There's got to be some sort of a steal around here, right? Looking for an A category of some sort. Maybe a B- in Watkins. I hope the resign stage we can get everybody back since we have a lot of cap space now. Skylar Hextall. Another defenseman, probably a low 7th D again, knowing my luck, but let's take him. Yep, low 7th D, I thought so. So there is Hextall. Pretty much the exact same thing as our last pick. So there is our draft. Not a great one, I would say. Canzanello's exciting. Matsumoto could be exciting, but the rest, eh. Kaupinen is a long shot, too, of being a good low-lead defenseman, but we've had some good luck with low-leads, so maybe he'll pan out and become something for us. But there is our draft. Now we got to get into this re-sign stage. We will re-sign our AHL coaches if we can. So let's see if they'll accept that. I don't know if we want to make a coaching change this offseason. That's one thing I'll leave for you guys for next episode. Do you think we need a coaching change? Or is Anze Kopitar still the man? Because if we look at Kopitar's like career numbers as a coach, he's had some great regular seasons. Like his 67 win percentage is great, but playoff wise, he's 49-40. Because look, he won the one Stanley Cup in 2035, but since then, it's a little bit all over the place. So I don't know, is Kopitar still our head coach, or should we look for somebody else? Because maybe that's what this team needs for changes. Maybe it was nothing to do with the players. Maybe it was just the coaching staff. Let's try and get these scouts back. And then we got to get into some important re-signing, which hopefully, like I said, we could get everybody that we offered, we still have left, back for another year. We did trade away quite a bit of players. Spiller, Kabanov, Glebov. Can't remember who else we traded away in this episode, but it's going to be interesting to see who is left for next year. So there is all our scouts dealt with. Let's get to this resign stage. So we have 53 million in cap space. So I think it was good that I offloaded a decent amount. I think all these RFAs are going to get qualified. Yeah, I think they're all going to get qualified. 3 years at 2.7 is not bad for Zubris, but still, I'm going to qualify these guys, I think. And hope that some of them get into the lineup next year. Like Brown, honestly, might be in our lineup. Leonardo Knights is very close to being an NHL defenseman, too, so got to watch out for that. These two goaltenders are technically going to be our 1 and 2 for a couple years. Tayupkin actually might be number 2 next year, so I think Hugh Wei might get a multi-year deal here. He doesn't look like he's going to pan out because he's not asking for a ton for 8 years. Let's give him a 5-year deal. I know that sounds completely random, but let's try it. $12.50 for 5 years. And let's bank on him that he's going to be good. Hewitt, or Blackburn, on the other hand, is probably not going to develop into much either. So I will do a 2-year deal, so that way next offseason I could trade him away if we want to get Tayupkin in. So let's just do what he wants for 2 years. So there's our goaltending situation dealt with. Now we got the main cast of characters, the UFAs. And we'll start off with the goaltenders. So Ned Okposo is gone. He didn't really work out here like I was hoping him to. So Ned, good luck in free agency. You're probably going to be retiring soon anyways. We are going to sign the low starter because I think he might end up becoming something. Who knows? But this is the big one here. Aiden Howden, his time here is over as well. He's been a great goaltender, but I can't justify paying him 8.8. And his playoffs hasn't been overly positive. He's had some great regular seasons. He's won a Vezina, came close to winning multiple. Last year he was injured a good chunk of the season. Yeah, I unfortunately have to let him go after 5 years. Just because of salary cap constraints mostly, but also I don't really want to be paying a goaltender over $6 million. So, Aiden, best of luck in free agency. Maybe you'll come back someday before you retire, but you're gone. We got to make some sort of overturn. And then the rest of these guys, I wouldn't mind holding on to a good chunk of them, but like I said, we probably need to let go of a right winger like Sanders or Brossoit, and I'm thinking more Sanders, depending on their asking prices. But let's go to the bottom of this list first. Actually, let's go by each position to make it a bit more easier to read. So, Len Morris, I do want to bring him back. That's why we got rid of Spiller. 4 by 6.425. It's a bit pricey, but I mean, he's a top 4 defenseman. I'll give it to him. I might trade him away if I have to, but for right now, that's fine. Komachi, 875 is like a depth defenseman. That's fine with me. We'll try and bring back... ooh, what the heck? Brunstrom wants a one-way deal. I get that he's been a career AHL defenseman, but still, he's listed as a depth defender now. He wants a one-way deal. I want to hold on to him, but I don't have the cap space really to just throw guys like that contract. So, unfortunately, Brunstrom, after all these years, he is gone from Rockford. Maybe he'll come back at some stage, but who knows. This low top 4, Malik, former 3rd-round pick, probably not going to pan out, so he is gone. We head over to the right side. This is where it's very interesting. Shea wants a 2-way deal. Let's give him a 1-year 2-way deal. Nighty still wants a 2-way deal. Let's see if we can hold on to him. But the rest of these 4 is where it gets interesting. I want to hold on to Corrado. 6 by 5.9 isn't outrageous. Corrado can produce. Yeah, like combined 100 points in his last 2 seasons. So I know he has an offensive capability. He is going to be playing second line time this year. Because likely Recchi goes to the left side, and then Sanders and Brossoit, one of them is gone. So 6 by 5.9 is a bit pricey because that takes him till he's 33. Let's do a... I might actually be willing to do a 6-year deal if I could get him for maybe a bit less. Actually, 5.9 is not really that bad regardless. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm going to trust in Corrado. And like I said, Sanders or Brossoit, one of them is gone. Sanders wants 10.3. Brossoit's older. He wants more money. I'm going to probably hold on to Brossoit, I think, because of the fit, like I was mentioning earlier. And Recchi, we are going to give you a 1-year deal and give you 7.8 if you want to accept that. Yeah, I think Sanders is the guy that's going to be leaving here. He's been a great player for 2 years, but it's mostly just because of where he fits in our lineup. And I think Brossoit like kind of replaces him. And also Sanders had a really rough playoffs this year. He only did really good when he was playing with Vance in the playoffs. So yeah, Ken Sanders, you are gone. Best of luck in free agency, man. We need to change up this team, and I don't necessarily have the cap space to give everybody big contracts. And then we are going to sign Brossoit. He wants 4 years. That would be for the rest of his career. I'd rather do maybe 2 years. So, would you accept 10.975 for 2 years? Left wing wise, these guys are all AHLers. We'll do 1-year deals on them if they want to accept that. That'd be great. Give us a bit more depth in the system. Frigon, who we literally just got in via trade from Vegas. I am not sold on his stats. He's a low 9. I'm going to let him walk to free agency because I don't really need him. And then the rest of these guys should be easy to get back here too. I am going to let go of Phil Riley. Was a depth option we brought in. We're going to let him walk for now. Hemingway, what do you want? 1-year deal. Let's do it. And Bilas is not really panning out. When did we draft him? 5th round. He does have good shooting, don't get me wrong. But do I really need to re-sign him? And maybe I will just to give it more depth in the system still. And Ziska, what do you want? 3 by 2.4. You know what? That's actually a decent contract for a third-line center. Because he's going to be playing third/fourth line. Let's do it. Let's do it. So, I think we should be able to get all those guys back and have cap space for free agency. So, let's hope that they all accept the contracts I gave. I think one of the AHL coaches rejected, so that kind of sucks, but oh well. Let's just go through this fast and see if there's any rejections, which I think I saw a few. Recchi rejected, Shea rejected, and these RFAs are still qualified. We still have $29 million. That's going to drop down to around 21. I feel like Recchi's only going to play to 35, so this would probably lock him up for the rest of his career. Let's do it, but I might honestly have to trade him away in a few years if I need the cap space. Let's do it. See if they'll accept him more term, because maybe he just wants some solidity in his contract. So we'll see if those guys accept. Come on, Recchi. Looks like he did accept. Based on this stuff. Yep, they both accepted. Okay, perfect. We have $22 million in cap space. Martins and Zubras will be the most expensive of the bunch. They'll be easy to re-sign, but I think we're pretty much good. Obviously, we need to sign some stuff in free agency. He actually rejected the contract extension. Let's do the $850. He's asking for... Actually, he was asking for... We wanted to give him a 6-year deal, but he rejected it. I'll just do the 2 years at $850. He's probably going to accept it. Yeah, he did. Damn, he's going to be a free agent in a couple years, but that's okay. So there we go. We got 22.975, which means basically what the RFAs factored in. I'd say we'd be down to like 17 million maybe. So we will have a lot of money for free agency. Let's take a look at what we got for our roster so far for next season. So we know what we're needing still in free agency, but I think we almost have a full roster. So Vance, Reefers, Adamski, Martins, Ziska, Burish, and Brown potentially in the NHL as well. I'd like to get Burish in because he's got X factors and he's low elite. So there is a chance he gets in for sure. I'm not sure on Brown though. So right now I'd say we have 5, 7 maybe. 8 with Gustafsson, Huxley maybe 9. Because he is listed as a 4th liner. 10, 11, 12, 13. We might be good on the forwards and all that. We might need maybe one more depth forward, but I honestly might use Gustavo Brown more as a depth forward. He does have good shot power, but it's not really that accurate. Good offensive awareness. He might be able to score a good amount of goals at the NHL level, but it's hard to tell. And then Parker Bursch, obviously, like I said, I would like to get him in because he's got X factors. He doesn't have the best attributes, but he was a first-round pick of us, so I wouldn't mind getting him into the lineup if we can. But maybe one depth forward. Defensively, we got Bernstrom, Jokela, Morris, Kachuk, Del Monte, Hutton, and Kamachi is the 7th D. I think our defensive core is pretty much set in stone, unless we want to trade somebody away. And then there's Leonardo Knights, who's very close to the NHL. Goalie-wise, we got Huey and Blackburn, so I think we're good goaltending-wise. Tayukin could start in the AHL, him and Marsh. And that would be good, I think. So there's all that. Let's go to unsigned and see if there's anybody I want to sign yet. Canzanello can't play in the AHL, so we'll wait on him. Matsumoto is technically AHL ready, and he's 20 years old. Let's give him a contract, just because he's already 20. I would rather get him into the lineup for the AHL as fast as possible. So there we go. There we go. That's good. Perfect. So yeah, I think we basically just need some depth maybe on offense, and that's maybe all we really need, unless we want to trade players away and upgrade stuff further. But I honestly don't know what it takes to win a Stanley Cup in the series. Some of our RFAs are already accepting, which is great, including Gustavo Brown and Leonardo Knights. So that's nice. Let's see what we got in terms of free agents and the trading block. And that'll be it for this episode. So, in terms of free agents, let's take a look at the best players available and all that type of thing, and also the depth options. But on center-wise, the best is Ekholm. Also, Skylar Cox, who we used to play with us and won a Conn Smythe with Toronto this season, is back in free agency. Not that we really need him, but still. Hey, look, Skula's back in free agency. He's dropping further, and his asking price has dropped off. That's funny. How did he do last year in San Jose? 59 points, but a minus 22. Interesting. Yeah, he's dropped off a lot faster than I was expecting when I brought him in. Burgley's back in free agency again. Anton's as well. But if you guys see anybody that would look good maybe on a 3rd or 4th line or in a depth role, let me know. And I'll look at the start of the next episode and potentially maybe bring them in. But I don't think we need to make much changes. Bales is back in free agency again. That's interesting to see him back. It'd be funny to bring back Bales immediately after we traded him away last year, and he's coming off a Stanley Cup win with a really good stat line, but I don't think he's really worth $5 million. We were paying him like 2.5, I think, for a long time, so still kind of funny to see him jump back to free agency again. So there is that. Right wing wise, the best is Person. I don't know if we want to make a huge splash in free agency or not, because obviously our team is weaker because we dealt away a lot of players, but at the same time I might be a better team too, because maybe we don't want to be that great of a team depth-wise, and that will give us a chance at a Stanley Cup. So there's that. Defensively, if we want a depth defenseman, even though we don't really need one because we already kind of got one. Oh, okay, he's an RFA. I was going to say, Reginald Spiller is still holding out for his contract with the team we traded him to, which I believe... Was it Vegas that we traded him to, or was that the other guys we traded him to? I think it was a different team with him. It might have been Tampa. I honestly don't remember where I traded him. But there is all that. And in terms of goaltending, not that we really need a goaltender. There's all that. Howden's got interest from 2 teams right now in free agency. Those being Buffalo and St. Louis. Scavello's back in free agency. Rudy Pitten's back in free agency. Funny to see a lot of former players here. So there is also that. Also Ratzlaff technically, because we drafted him but we didn't sign him. Or we let him go after a few years in the AHL, I think it was. Because we've been drafting really well goaltending-wise. So there is that. Let's take a quick look at the trading block, because maybe there's a blockbuster trade that happen in next episode if we really need to fit out this team a little bit more. Gunderson still good goaltender there. Not that we need him. Mikola is a top 6 defenseman. Roloff, 83 right winger. That's making almost $9 million. Don't think I'd like that. Anything else, though? Brad Lambert, our former player, he's dropped off a lot, but he's a good player still. Antilla, he's kind of making a lot of money for an 81. What else we got here? Moses. Wow. Moses looks pretty good. I don't know why he's on the block. He's 25 and 90 overall. Signed for 3 more years. Had a 44-goal season. Like, he's a great player and a good goal scorer, but we don't really need another great goal scorer because Vance has got that first-line left wing locked up. So, still an interesting player nonetheless. Also, this Dundas guy, a 5-year signee, making 9.8. Not a super great offensive player, it seems like, but for some reason Edmonton wants to get rid of him already at that age. So there is some intriguing players, but not that we really need them. So Quinn Byfield, Kabanov in New Jersey. It's not the Kabanov we just traded right now. It's not. It's a different one. Actually, a really solid Kabanov. Huh. Maybe we just need a new Kabanov. This guy, though, is making not too much money either. For that stat line and making that much amount of money, that's not bad at all. I mean, we already technically have our centerman, though, because we are going to move Adamski likely to second line, because maybe he'll do better there and he'll get more power play time with the changes we made. Vernarski, but signed for 5 years. Not really seen somebody I would trade for yet, to be honest. Lekirmaki, Goddard signed for $9.3 million. Jeez. A lot of players are making tons of money in this. Quinn Hughes back on the block because he's a pending free agent. We know he could pick up a lot of points even if he's an old overall. Or old and low overall. He would be good, but we don't really have a spot for him on our top 4. That's the only thing. Who is that Petrel guy? A defenseman, huh? Making 8.2. I don't really want to pay 8.2 to another defenseman though, because we do have 2 defenders making a lot of money, so I don't really want to have multiple. Wow, this Albrecht guy is still getting paid heavily. 4 years left at 3.68, and he's dropped down to a 72 at 30. Oof. That's a bad contract there, Vancouver. So there's that. I don't really think there was anything that I saw that would be intriguing to me. But then again, we have stuff in the system that could come up, like I said, because like depth defenseman-wise, we'll probably use Kamachi. And then depth forward-wise, we probably need 1 at least, but obviously we'd like to get Huxley into the lineup if possible. I'd like to get Burish for sure into the lineup. I might use Gustavo Brown as a depth forward. We'll see how he develops, but I honestly think he's probably almost ready too. So it's tough to tell if we really need anything at this moment. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Chicago Blackhawks franchise mode. So in next episode, we will take it to free agency. We might make some trades depending if you guys think we should make some more changes, even though we made quite a bit already. And hopefully this team's going to have a good season ahead and also a good playoffs, because obviously we've been a great regular season team. No question about it, but the playoffs have been always a problem for us. So hopefully we could do better next year and years to come. Say anything down below, and I'll see you guys next time.